What was your favorite moment from the first two episodes of The Last Dance?
I want to go macro here. I want to go think piece. I've always found the things swirling around Michael Jordan to be more interesting than Michael Jordan, the human being himself. The excellence is interesting, but Michael as a human being, I've never thought was fascinating. What I thought was fascinating about last night is the communal nostalgia of us being starved during this pandemic time for anything that felt like sports, anything that felt good, that it felt a bit like community last night. Never mind what was on your screens. I understand that. You sat through commercials for the first time in how long? But what was happening around here where even Bomani Jones, who I do not know to be a sentimentalist, was putting on Michael Jordan gear because it felt like being a part of something. That was the part that I found more interesting than anything. Honest to God.
I mean, for what it's worth, I wear J's everywhere, baby. I wear J's when I go take the trash out. That's just what my shoe collection has evolved into over the years. Now, generally speaking, what struck out to me about this documentary is, kids, do you understand why we talk about this dude the way we have? Like, in watching it, you are reminded we have never seen anything like that before. And it's crazy because we really got introduced to him for the first time almost 40 years ago, and we still haven't seen anything like Michael Jordan. But specifically, I have this picture in my mind. Michael Jordan in a hotel in Peoria, Illinois, opening up the door, and it's the whole team, a bunch of women, a bunch of cocaine, and a bunch of weed. And my question is, what hotel were they staying in Peoria, right? Did that door open to the outside? I want to know a whole lot more about what that scene was. And by the way, who are these ladies that you were hanging out with in Peoria? Did they come down from Chicago, or did you meet them when you got there?
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way. The first two episodes was a lot of stuff that we already knew, but the cocaine circus is what I want. Can we get a spinoff episode? Like, I was more intrigued by that. They only gave us 2 minutes on the cocaine circus. I want a full documentary, oral history, something on that whole season of the cocaine circus with Michael Jordan trying to come in and be this consummate professional who's completely clean in the cocaine circus. Like, come on, Mike, come on over here and have a good time.
Yeah, let me tell you something. I've seen a few episodes of this, and the early era of the Jordan years, it ain't that many former teammates that are signing up to sit down in front of the cameras to talk about that one. I think I saw Rod Higgins off that first team and Charles Oakley. I don't think anybody else off those squads returned the phone call. Or maybe Mike was like, nah, don't call none of them. I don't know which one it is, but I would like to know more about what it was to play with Michael Jordan while the team is terrible.
I was really kind of intrigued by the idea of Michael Jordan being this assassin who cares about nothing other than winning and pushes everyone. And he won a lot of championships, so we look back on it as a positive thing. But I feel like that same person, if he's just a little less talented, does not succeed, and we talk about it in a different way. We're like, this is just the who couldn't win. But he won enough championships that we're like, oh, that's the way to do it. He hasn't seemed happy since, which seems like it's just a tough way to live your life.
The difference, though, is if he was a little less talented, what we would learn is whether or not he was the who could fight. Like, being Mike just simply meant that nobody was going to fight him over this stuff because everybody had the option, right? Like, you'll find later on in this documentary talk about Steve Kerr. You already see the story about Mike punching Steve Kerr. They kind of fought each other. It wasn't like Steve Kerr just took a blow and was like, okay, Mike, you got it, right? No, man, some of these cats, you could have scrapped it out with Mike if you wanted to.
All right, hold on a second, though. Dominique hasn't heard this story because this is the reason that people didn't scrap it out with Michael Jordan. It's because Charles Oakley was his guy. John Sally just told the story on the radio last week. He's with Dave Chappelle and Chris Tucker, and nearby is Charles Oakley. And the conversation is about what Kobe would have been like against Michael Jordan. And John Sally, in a suit, is sitting there saying, I think that young fella might have given him the business. And Charles Oakley runs over and punches John Sally in the stomach. And John Sally describes it as not just a gentle punch, a punch like he wants to punch James Dolan punch. And John Sally's on his hands and knees in a suit because that's what would happen when you challenge Michael Jordan.
Look, they traded Charles Oakley for Bill Cartwright, okay? At one point, and you ain't going to get this in the documentary, they go to allude to this, where he didn't think that Cartwright had good hands. So Mike didn't pass the ball to Cartwright anymore, and he told people not to pass the ball to Cartwright in crunch time. Cartwright found out, came and found Mike and told him, if I hear you do anything like that again, you will never play basketball again. I'm just saying there were other options in how to deal with this.
What about Oakley last night? We saw him slap Pippen in the face, like just play around, slap Pippen, and Pippen had no choice but to laugh it off. Like that's some big brother, little brother stuff, or just some bully stuff that just shocks me.
Also, kind of a window into Scottie Pippen, right? Like, he was remarkably comfortable with getting slapped in the face on camera. I'm not judging him for it. I'm just saying that there's a whole range
we'd
of
all
reactions.
be slapped like that against
No, but here's what I'm saying. He didn't even look embarrassed by it. He didn't look like his feelings got hurt. Like, there was none of the reactions that you would expect from somebody who just got slapped in the face in front of all of his colleagues and the world, right? He didn't give us any of that. He was just kind of like, oh, man, I'm on the team.
I don't think that was his reaction. I think he was embarrassed. His reaction was, I can't do nothing about that.
Yeah, the second that Oak got him by the shirt, he knew that his agency had expired.
What choice do you have there? Because, like, not only can you not beat this man, he's also Michael Jordan's best friend. So what you want to do? You want to get beat up and then cut?
Yo, another subtle detail about this doc we need to talk about is that when Mike broke his foot in that game, who was carrying him to the locker room? On one side, a trainer. On the other side, Charles Oakley.
But wait a minute, though. That might be the most interesting thing in the first couple of episodes. The idea that he's told 10% chance that you end your career, 90% chance, 9 pills that can save you, 1 pill that can't. And his answer is, how bad's the headache? Like, come on, man.
Oh, what interesting thing I think you'll find about this doc, too. And I think that was another example. In the times where it's been Mike versus management or Scotty versus management, I be hearing the beef, and I'm kind of like, I think the team kind of has a point here.
Really?
Yo,
really?
Mike just want to go out here and play on some broad principle while the gravy trade has a 10% chance of ending his career. That 63-point game should have never happened. And by the way, Stan Albeck, they didn't mention this in the doc either. Stan Albeck played Mike a little longer than he was supposed to, and you're damn right he got fired as soon as the season was over. They're like, yo, this is the best thing that's ever happened to us. And you're going to put him out there because he want to?
Yeah, I mean, I believe you, and I guess I believe all the psychopathic stuff that people say about Michael Jordan, but I also feel like saying that is the only thing you can say in that moment. It's like when my kids get mad at me, they're like, I'm going to run away. And they really said it. It really looks like they mean it. Then when I open the front door, they turn around and walk back. Mike was doing the same thing. Mike was doing the same thing. Put me in. Yeah. Put me in. Put me in. I'm going to play through this. Like, come on, Mike. If he really thought that his whole career was going to end, and for essentially meaningless game, he ain't going out there. He ain't stupid.
Yeah, by the way, I'm also going to say what I've said before that may make me a little unpopular because people are feeling real empathetic right now in the times of this quarantine, but I ain't really had that much sympathy for Scottie Pippen in his contract situation. I done heard everybody blame everybody else for what happened. People out here, his agent is terrible. His agent is Jimmy Sexton. His agent is the opposite of terrible. His agent is actually a magician. Scotty, sit up there and tell you, I wanted to get the money, get a secure deal to take care of my family. The owner's like, I told him not to sign that dumb contract, right? Everybody mad at everybody else. Scotty made a trade, and then after he made that trade, the television deals changed what the salary structure was. At one point, the highest paid player in the NBA was John Hot Rod Williams, right? Things were a little wonky at the time. Scotty made a trade-off. It didn't work out so well for him. I wouldn't be trying to renegotiate either. Like, yo, man, what was the point of us negotiating in the first place if we was just going to be like, all right, you good now?
You weren't upset that Jordan didn't rescue him. That was the real thing on Twitter that I was shocked by. People were like, why didn't Jordan have his back and get him his money? It's like,
well, that is
Jordan's job.
That is actually an underrated thing I hadn't thought about. Because, all right, if Mike really cared about Scotty getting paid, Mike would have gone up there and said, y'all need to pay Scotty. Instead, Mike was like, oh, so you gonna have this surgery now?
He's selfish. He said he was selfish.
It was selfish. Now, you can – hold on.
Okay, whether it was selfish or not, he ain't have to say it.
Right, well, hold on. If you can separate the pejorative implications of the word selfish, Scotty did that for Scotty. Scotty said it himself. Why did you do that? Because I didn't want to mess up my summer. How are you going to tell me that it's not selfish? Like, you ain't got to judge, but you ain't got to lie.
Well, we all agree it's selfish, but he didn't have to say it was selfish. You can't do that to your people.
Why not?